Hello and welcome to Granada Reports. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Hello. On the programme this evening.
We will not tolerate online abuse of anyone, including innocent witnesses, members of the family and friends, of local businesses.
Getting tough with the trolls. Police searching for missing Nicola tell those taking the law into their own hands they're only adding to her family's pain.
A specialist underwater team's continuing its search of the river, but with no results. We'll be hearing from their boss very soon.
Also tonight, the Northwest disaster experts on their way to help after the terrible earthquake that's left thousands of people dead in Turkey and Syria.
The War of the Roses Part 1. Erik ten Hag gears up for 2 matches against Leeds in 4 days.
I'm in Blackpool, where there is a very big makeover going on. Wade is the man in charge, and he's going to be here later to tell us all about it.
Well, you better get your gloves on, because you're going up there next.
What?
And can we expect any more lovely sunsets over the next few evenings? A full weather forecast is coming up later on.
First tonight, and a strong warning by the police they won't tolerate the online abuse of Nicola Bulley's family or key witnesses. They're also telling people who've been travelling in from outside the area to carry out their own searches of empty properties to stay away.
Lancashire Police say 40 detectives are working on 500 lines of inquiry and have traced 700 vehicles which passed through the village of St Michael's-on-Wyre at the key time when the mother of 2 disappeared on Friday the 27th of January.
Superintendent Sally Riley has stressed while police still think Nicola fell into the river, they remain open-minded about what's happened. But she said misguided speculation is upsetting for Nicola's family and not helping the investigation.
We would ask that people in the wider community, particularly on social media and online, do not speculate as to what may have happened to Nicola. This is particularly hurtful to her family, to her children, to her partner Paul, her parents, her sister and her friends. Because it's not helpful to them, it's distressing and it's distracting for the police inquiry. Nor is it helpful if people, particularly if they come from outside of the area, take it upon themselves to take the law into their own hands by trying to, for example, break into empty property. They may mean well, they may want to help, but they can help in thinking back, if they were in the area, to what information they may have of relevance to the police and holding the family in their thoughts. But we will not tolerate online abuse of anyone, including innocent witnesses, of members of the family and friends, of local businesses, or of criminal damage or burglary.
A very strong warning from Superintendent Riley there. And what she also said is that the search of the river has now been extended to the mouth of the River Wyre as far as Knott End and Morecambe Bay.
Well, our reporter Anna Yosef's been in St Michael's-on-Wyre all day waiting for any progress from that specialist diving team searching the river for Nicola. And Anna, this very distressing mystery goes on.
That's right. The question on everyone's lips, where is Nicola? Her friends and family just desperate for some answers. Well, joining me now is Peter Folding. He is leading the team of underwater divers in the river search. Peter, you've been carrying out searches like this for more than 20 years. What's your gut instinct telling you?
Well, we've conducted 2 days of thorough searching. We've gone downstream with side-scan sonar, very accurate. We can see every stone on the bottom. We've gone up today, the area again where the police divers originally searched, because when Nicola went missing, she was found. She was where she went missing, the phone was found. That was searched thoroughly. There was no sign of Nicola, and we've re-gone over that whole area today very thoroughly, and there's no sign of her there either.
So if Nicola had fallen into the river, where exactly do you think you would have expected to find her?
All my experience of drowning victims, if they go in that day, they will be exactly where they are, maybe a couple of metres away, but they won't go very far. The river wasn't flowing really fast that day, wasn't in flood, so she wouldn't have gone far, 2 or 3 metres maximum. She would have gone to the bottom.
We know it's a tidal river. Is there a chance she could have been swept out to sea?
The tidal river is about 200 metres downstream, so it goes to a weir, so that the area where Nicola went in is non-tidal, and there's a weir further down, and when you go over the weir it's very shallow, lots of stones, and then it goes to the tidal river.
After you've completed your search of the river, would you be categorically able to say that Nicola isn't in there?
Yes, I mean, that section of the river where we've done today, it's completely clear. The police divers have searched it twice, and with sonar, we've searched it again with sonar. There is no sign of Nicola in that stretch of river at all.
Nicola's family say they're very grateful for the help you and your team have offered. Have you been in regular contact with them?
Yes, I've been in regular contact. I had with the family. I had about a 30-minute conversation with Paul last night, Nicola's partner, and we just had a general chat about things, and I updated him what was going on, and they're very grateful.
You're an expert in missing persons. If it's not the river, then where would you be looking?
This is a difficult question. At the moment, there's no, and like the police are searching, because at the end of the day, the phone was found by the river, and that's what's leading them to the river. There's no other information we've got at the moment what's taken us anywhere else. So it's a very difficult question.
And so my final question to you is, how long are you and your team going to be here?
Right, we'll be here for another couple of days. I want to put our name to this to make sure, if I put my name to a search, I want to make sure it's done thoroughly, properly, so we can walk away and say Nicola is not in that part of the river at all.
Peter, I know you and your team have had some very long days. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
OK, and sadly that mystery goes on. Anna, thank you.
Well, next tonight, to the help being mobilised in the northwest for the many thousands of people affected by the devastating earthquakes in Turkey and northwest Syria.
The Manchester-based Action for Humanity is appealing for donations so they can organise vital food, water and medical supplies for those who've lost their homes after miles upon miles of buildings were reduced to rubble.
Well, some of our region's search and rescue teams have been deployed in the rescue effort, and our correspondent Mal Barham has the latest on the mammoth task ahead.
The scale of the destruction across both Turkey and Syria are hard to comprehend, with the death toll caused by the earthquake and subsequent aftershocks rising by the hour. It sparked a huge mission of help from across the world, including right here in the northwest. The Manchester-based charity UK Med has been deploying to disaster zones for decades. This morning, a team of medics flew out to Turkey on a government charter flight as part of the World Health Organisation's emergency response. The team, including a surgeon from Blackpool and a paramedic from Stockport, will be assessing the situation before more volunteers are sent out.
This ranks up there with the biggest earthquakes that I've ever responded to, and I've been responding to earthquakes for 35 years.
The Frontline Medical Aid charity now has 70 healthcare professionals on standby to head out to the region. They also have a field hospital like this one that can be flown out if needed.
The difficulties for the team will be getting access to those areas where our help is needed, and then it's dealing with the large numbers of casualties. But also, it's not just the injuries. There will be women going into labour who will need support. There will be elderly people now who have chronic conditions. People will have lost their medicines. It's that support to the much broader healthcare system and providing support to that.
Meanwhile, another North West charity, Action for Humanity, based in Manchester, is already on the ground in Syria. Earlier, they confirmed one of their staff members, a female doctor, along with her son, were killed in Idlib by the earthquake. Like UK Med, they too have launched an emergency fundraising campaign to help the hundreds of thousands affected by this disaster. They say they need funds for food, water and medical supplies. And it's not just charities who are mobilising to help. 4 firefighters from Greater Manchester Fire and Rescue Service and 5 from Merseyside have arrived in Turkey to join the international relief efforts. They're joining a UK volunteer team of search and rescue specialists deployed to assist the emergency response. Such is the scale of this disaster, the aid workers and volunteers say they will be on the ground for the foreseeable future, providing much needed aid for a very long time to come. Mel Barham, ITV News, Manchester.
Yeah, the images coming out of Turkey and Syria just horrific, aren't they? The very, very best of luck to everybody involved in the rescue efforts. And you can find out more about the charities and the work that they are doing on our website. The usual address, www.itv.com/Granada.
Next, and 2 men have been jailed for robbing the Isle of Man's Olympic cyclist Mark Cavendish and his wife at knife point in their home.
Yeah, the court heard the masked men broke in when the Cavendish family was sleeping. Mark's wife, Peta, hid their 3-year-old child under the duvet to prevent them seeing what was happening.
The couple have described their continuing fear after the raid, as Victoria Lampard reports.
Intruders wearing balaclavas approached the Essex home of Mark Cavendish and his family, a terrifying nighttime raid. And as his wife Peter spoke outside court, it was clear the psychological impact the experience has had on them.
What these men did was a world away from a robbery on the street, and I want people that know them to know that. They came to the home where a young family was asleep. They broke in the middle of the night, in balaclavas, and threatened us. They assaulted my husband Mark and they terrified our young children. At the time I was in the early stages of pregnancy, and the incident of course has had a massive impact on what should have been an incredibly happy time for us as a family.
Olympic cyclist Mark Cavendish was recovering from a serious accident in November 2021 when he was beaten with a knife held to his throat. 2 watches, valued at a total of £700,000, were taken in a crime described by the judge as targeted and ruthless.
After the raid, the couple stepped back from making public appearances, concerned they could become a target again. They also found it difficult to trust anyone, even friends, and their loving family home became a constant reminder of threat and fear.
They have considered moving.
I feel like home and what home should mean and should feel like has changed irreparably for our children. With no matter how much you can move forward from that, it will always be something that shapes our family to a degree, because it's something you never completely recover from.
This morning, Romario Henry and Ali Cisse were sentenced to a combined total of 27 years in prison for their part in the robbery.
Both men had been offending for a decade. They had served time in jail for their part in organised crime, including drugs offences. And when Cisse was arrested at his home, 2 loaded guns were thrown from an upstairs window.
2 other men are still wanted in connection with the robbery.
Since the conviction, we've had new information we are developing, and I've got no doubt that at some point, hopefully soon, we'll have them both in police detention.
Until those 2 men are caught, Peter Cavendish admits it's difficult to draw a line under their ordeal, but they are doing their best to move forward. Victoria Lampard, ITV News, Chelmsford.
In other news today, nurses from our region have been picketing today on the 2nd day of their national strike over pay and conditions. The Royal College of Nursing claims real terms pay cuts are forcing people out of the profession and putting patient safety at risk. 16 NHS trusts across the North West are taking part in today's strike action. There were picket lines at the Royal Preston Hospital where nurses say they want more support to care for their patients.
I started nursing 15 years ago. And one nurse would have about 6 patients to look after. So an award is about 30 patients. You've now got 2 nurses to look after 30 patients. We just cannot offer that level of care.
Now, Westminster's heard fresh pleas for a public inquiry into a group of Merseyside shipyard workers jailed for protesting against job losses. The men went on strike at the Camel-led shipyard in Birkenhead in 1984, hoping to prevent compulsory redundancies. They were jailed for 30 days, dismissed from their jobs and lost their right to redundancy pay and their pension. There has been a long-running campaign for justice, including calls for compensation.
One for the David Bowie fans, myself included. The handwritten lyrics to his early hit Jean Genie have been sold at auction in Newton-le-Willows. They went for £46,000. The previous set for Starman went for £200,000.
Just a cool £200,000.
A couple of quid, not much.
Now to a question that's troubling medical experts in our region. Why is the take-up of the coronavirus booster now so low?
When the vaccination scheme started, there was a massive rush for jabs, but that's now seriously dwindled.
And if you are planning to organise your jab, the deadline is fast approaching. The main NHS autumn booster programme comes to an end on Sunday. That's not just for people deemed at risk, but also anyone aged between 16 and 49.
More than 2 million people in our region have had their booster, but there are still thousands of vacant appointments which can be booked across more than 300 different sites across the region.
In Greater Manchester alone, 500,000 people still haven't had their jab.
Well, to make sense of all of this is Dr. Helen Wall, who's a clinical director for population health for Greater Manchester. Helen, always good to see you, a friend of the programme. Why is take-up so low?
I think people just have lots of other competing priorities at the minute, don't they? You know, we've got cost of living, we've got issues with people's jobs and businesses, redundancies. So I think there's lots of competing priorities. But I think the message we need to get out now is, you know, we need to bump this up the priority list if it is something that you were thinking of doing, because it does, as you say, come to an end on Sunday. And that's for those people who were invited as part of the autumn booster, which started last September, but also for everyone 16 to 49, regardless of their health status, who were invited for a booster in 2021, and the 500,000 people in our region is actually just that cohort of individuals that haven't come forwards.
Do you think for many people there is a sense that perhaps COVID may have gone away, seeing as that we are effectively back to normal now, aren't we?
Yeah, I think absolutely people feel that way, and we want to feel like that, don't we? You know, I'm not just a doctor, I'm a mum and a wife, and, you know, I've got friends, and I want to think that it's gone away, but the reality is it hasn't, and the reality is that it's really impacted us over the winter season. Now, though it is on a downward trajectory, although in the last week we've seen a bit of an uptick again in the numbers, we're pleased to see that, you know, our numbers of people going into hospital has reduced and our death rates have reduced from COVID. But, you know, that offer is going to come to an end on Sunday, and there will be people who've been putting it off just thinking, I've not got round to it. And particularly that 18 to 49 age group, we don't think that offer's going to come back online. Certainly there's no guidance that offer's going to come back online, and it may impact some people for things like travel.
I was going to say travel. So you can get booster one, you can get the first vaccine and the second.
And the second dose will still continue past Sunday.
But it's the booster, and that, if you're travelling, you may be asked for that, and then you may not have to get it, and then you'll have to pay.
Yeah, and my concern is, you know, well, we don't really know at the minute even whether paying for it is an option. We don't know what the options are for people after Sunday. So my concern is, you know, we've had this before in the programme where we've taken programmes off and offers offline, and people have come asking because they're travelling or they've got to go away for work, and we've not been able to do anything about that. And I think that's going to be an issue at our sites, particularly the sites that are going to continue offering dose 1 and 2. I think people are going to come and want to get a booster, and we're just not going to be able to give them that
Now,
option.
some people, not all, feel a little bit unwell for the first 24 hours when they have their booster. Is that, do you think, what's stopping people, and what would you say to them?
I think that's probably one of the reasons, you know, but I think it's like anything, isn't it? People will tell you when they felt really unwell having a vaccine. They'll rarely tell you that they had it and felt great, you know, and I see a lot of patients that had it and didn't have any effects. So I think it's not a given. The first thing to say is that you're going to feel ropey for a few hours to 24 hours. At least half the people don't have any side effects whatsoever. You know, you may well have a few side effects, but generally speaking, they can be managed with paracetamol, fluids, and generally speaking, people are back to their normal selves within a few hours. So it is a small price to pay, really.
And Helen, if people don't go and get this booster jab, what are the implications for you as a GP and the implications for your colleagues?
Well, we know that in the age group, particularly the over 50s and those who are younger than 50 with underlying health conditions, the immunocompromised, all of those people are more at risk of becoming seriously unwell with COVID. So I think there is a concern, particularly because we don't know what's around the corner. We don't know whether other variants are going to come in. We don't know whether, you know, the case rates are going to continue to rise as they have done in the past week. We hope that's just a blip, but it may continue to go up. There's always that risk lurking in the back of our heads that we could hit another significant COVID wave. And if people aren't vaccinated, particularly those who are vulnerable, we have actually over 1 million people in the region in the vulnerable category who haven't come forward for that autumn booster. You know, we may be in a situation where they get really sick, and that is a worry for all medical professionals.
It is indeed, and we know how busy you are, so thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Cheers, Helen.
And that message is loud and clear. The deadline is on Sunday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lots to come on the programme.
A big makeover for the big one. We're going behind the scenes as Blackpool Pleasure Beach gets its rides ready for the summer season.
And the skies have been fantastic over the last couple of days thanks to mid to high level clouds spilling in. But what can we expect for the rest of the week? I'll be back with a full forecast.
And time for a quick look ahead at what's coming up on the ITV News at 6:30 with Charlene.
Coming up on the programme, the latest from the earthquake in Turkey and Syria as the search through the rubble grows more desperate. Thousands are now confirmed dead. We'll be on the ground in Turkey with rescue crews overwhelmed by the scale of the disaster.
Take a look at the amount of devastation there is. Just in this small area, it's thought that 100 people are trapped.
Across both countries, those buried are still being found alive, giving hope for those with missing loved ones, including people here in the UK, many collecting aid parcels as they wait to hear whether relatives are safe. We'll have all of that and the rest of the day's news from 6:30.
OK, on to football now. And Manchester United can go level on points with rival City if they win their Premier League match against managerless Leeds United tomorrow night. Visitors Leeds sacked their manager Jesse March yesterday. United play them twice in 4 days, with a return fixture at Elland Road on Sunday. United boss Erik ten Hag said he was aware of the history between the two clubs.
It's about the match of the roses. Yeah, it's definitely a big game in this part of England, and it's a big game for us. We know we have Man City, we have Liverpool, but as well for our fans, this game means so much, and our players are aware of that, and they know what to do.
To the FA Cup, and Burnley and Fleetwood both have home replays tonight in the 4th round of the competition. The very best of luck to them, and good luck also to National League leaders Wrexham tonight. They're taking over 4,000 fans to their replay at Sheffield United. We don't know if Ryan Reynolds will be among them, but you wouldn't rule out a shock result.
Yes, let's hope he's there too. And if you're a Wrexham fan living on the Wales-Cheshire border and you're watching us tonight, come on, the Red Dragons.
Fingers crossed for you. Now, it's towers above the Blackpool skyline with a 200-foot drop, and today it's been getting a facelift.
Yes, we're talking about the famous big one, of course, and the Pleasure Beach is a hive of activity with staff in full maintenance mode in preparation for the busy holiday season ahead.
Our correspondent, Victoria Grimes, has spent the day there and got a bird's-eye view of those famous rides.
As makeovers go, it's a big one. The tallest roller coaster in the UK and the longest in Europe. And with more than a mile of track to tend to, there's a lot riding on the maintenance team.
We're changing 103 metres of Big One track. You know, we've got 1,600 metres of it to replace over the years. We've been, last 4 years, we've been replacing approximately 100 metres of track at a time. It needs a bit of TLC. We want to prolong this ride. It's the most iconic ride. 27 years going, 28 years now. We want to last for at least another 28, 30 years, if not 100 years.
Built in 1994, the Big One quickly became a Blackpool icon. Engineer Wayne's been giving it the special treatment since the start.
Or is it that has to go right to the very top when you're replacing the track right up there?
Not me anymore.
Anymore? Have you been up there?
Yeah. I've started. I've been here for many years myself. So when the ride was first built, I was involved with building the ride as well.
Well, the Pleasure Beach always gets a refresh during the winter months, and the Big One isn't the only thing that's getting a makeover. Somebody else has got a big birthday coming up, so they're getting a glow up too.
Here we go, love.
Andy, the Big Dipper is 100 years old this year.
It is, yeah. It's celebrating its centenary. It's a big birthday. We're basically repainting the entire ride and refreshing the entire ride for this year. And then in the middle of the summer, on the 23rd of August, we're going to have a big party for the ride.
Is that its actual birthday, the 23rd?
It is, yeah. It opened in 1923. So, yeah, it's been thrilling riders for 100 years.
I can't believe we can still go on a roller coaster that's 100 years old, though. How does that work?
I know, but But for me, what that says is this is a really good ride. The fact 100 years later people still want to come and ride it and are still thrilled by it must be a great ride. Well, I know it is. When you've got a wooden coaster, part of the maintenance is to literally walk the entire track every morning, nice and early, before the ride opens.
Well, you literally walk all the way up to the top?
Yeah, you walk the entire length.
But whose job is it to walk all the way around that track every day?
We have a hardcore structures team that come and do this every morning. It doesn't matter what the weather is, if it's pouring down with rain or lovely and sunny like it always is in Blackpool, they come and do it anyway, early in the morning.
So it's not you then?
It's not me, no.
Yeah, and not me, thankfully, either. Thought you might put me to work today. Oh, I can't imagine anything worse.
Go for a walk if you like.
No, thank you. No, thank you. Definitely best leaving that one to the professionals. The Pleasure Beach reopens in March. Victoria Grimes, ITV News, Blackpool.
I love roller coasters. That is definitely going to be on my list for the summer. Cannot wait.
Do you think? I thought we'd see Vicky on it, but she's clearly not. I took my eldest, Harry, when he was little, on a roller coaster. We just got on the big one, and he said, "I want to get off."
And did he?
Well, we were moving. And he became brave when I told him, Grandma and Grandad, my mum's nearly 80, and she loved it.
Well, you run a tight ship, Elaine. I'm sure you are staying on character building.
It was, certainly was. Now for the weather, here's Joe.
Mum, wet wipes, toilet or bin?
Bin. Why?
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Hello, thank you very much and good evening. Some nice sunshine around today, but cloud has been building quite steadily across the northwest. And as we head into this evening, where the cloud clears, we'll see quite a good deal of fog, particularly for parts of Cheshire, the Peak District, Derbyshire overnight tonight. The next few days continue to be largely dry thanks to the influence of high pressure. But during tomorrow, winds will noticeably increase. So the next couple of days then, still high pressure around, bits and pieces of patchy rain and drizzle at times. And as we head through Wednesday, just notice those isobars packing together a little tighter, and that's showing winds just squeezing up a little bit, particularly for western coasts during tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. However, this evening, all quiet on the western front. Under clear skies, quite cold conditions again for Cheshire, Derbyshire tonight, and this where temperatures will dip to around -1, -2. But most places stay just above freezing. Some low cloud and hill fog developing again for those southern counties, but also the Lake District and perhaps the Pennines before dawn. It's just above freezing for most of us as we head into tomorrow, with those winds beginning to pick up a little bit as well. And tomorrow the sun is up at 7:45 and sets at 5:06. Wednesday then, a foggy start in places, something to bear in mind if you are travelling. It's that southern part of the region that's most at risk. Quite quickly, with that wind picking up, it will clear. We should see some sunshine during the middle part of the day, but cloud will build again a little bit more later on. A dry day in prospect though for the northwest of England and the Isle of Man. And temperatures tomorrow will make 8 or 9 degrees, but the wind will make it feel slightly chillier. Bye-bye.
Cleaned up well.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Joe, thank you. That is just about it for tonight's programme.
Yes, and we asked for your favourite memories of Blackpool Pleasure Beach. And Robert Sharples says his favourite memory was feet on the ground in the Penny Arcade.
Sounds good. Mel says she remembers ice skaters at the Hot Ice Show. Her favourite ride was the Big Dipper, which, as Vicky said, is 100 this year.
And Richard says the double cheeseburger on the stall he had on the Pleasure Beach was the best burger he'd ever had.
Sounds good. Bye-bye.
Good night.